Hello, my friends. How are you doing today? I have a question for you. Do you ever find yourself in a situation where you got the blues or the blahs? You're going through the motions of doing your business, but you just don't have the passion. You're not sure even if you want to continue doing what you're doing. And I talk with a lot of women entrepreneurs that find themselves in this situation. And it's frustrating because we all invest a lot of time and a lot of money into developing our businesses. So when you find yourself in that slump where you're just not sure whether you want to continue or if you need to make a change, I'm going to share with you today a place that you can look to get clear on whether or not you are doing what you are truly passionate about. I've got a guest for you that is going to be just blow your mind with information around how you can find out if you are serving the right niche. Isn't that interesting? I think a lot of us think about niche or niche, and we're going to talk with Todd about this. What is the right word here, niche or niche? But either way, we think about that as a early stage start of business kind of thing. You pick your niche and off you go. But Todd's got some interesting ways of looking at this whole process. And I think you'll enjoy the conversation that we're going to have today. So I'd like to introduce you to Todd Howard, who is the founder of Grow a Niche or Niche Business. We're going to, Todd, let's get this settled right from the gate. Is it
Let's
niche
do.
or is it niche? Tell me what your
Hey,
thoughts are,
Susan.
and welcome. Nice to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you. It's actually both. So the word niche comes from a French word, nicher, which means to nest. And so just a side note, the reason that they chose that word is that when you find a niche or a niche, you are protecting your business. So that's where the word comes from.
Oh,
If we were using the French pronunciation, we would say niche. But of course, in the UK, they don't say anything. They don't sound like the French at all. They say niche. And in the US, we picked up our English from the British. So we most often say niche. So either one is correct. If you're
thank
feeling
you.
sophisticated and you would like to use the French word because it just sounds nicer, say niche. But if you just want to use it the good old American way, say niche, and you're totally fine.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for that clarity. I'm sure a lot of the people listening will enjoy knowing that. Hey, listen, how did you stumble into your niche?
Yes. So my career has been all about helping companies find products. I had my own businesses. I was trying to define products. And one of the themes that I kept running across is that every company that I worked with, and this was true also for my companies, they were successful or not based on whether or not we found a unique selling proposition, a unique position in the market. And I started to realize there's something magical about thinking about how you are unique. Most people get into business and they think, I know I need to make money. I know I need to watch my costs. And so those are things that are top of mind, but they forget to think or to ask themselves, am I doing something unique? Am I providing something unique? Am I connecting with an audience that I'm uniquely suited to serve?
Hmm.
And the more I thought about that, the more success I found in my own businesses and in helping others. And I realized this is an area that I just need to focus more on and bring to people's attention. You need to discover your niche because that solves so many problems for you and really greases the rails towards having a successful business.
Oh, that's so good. I love that. Yeah, that's why I really tie having and knowing what your niche is to how passionate you are about your business. And a lot of times when I'm talking with women, they've in essence just going through the motion, right? They started out thinking they wanted to do something and then they found that really wasn't their passion. So I think that's one of the downsides of not having a niche. What do you think other downsides are in not having a
Yeah,
niche established?
That is a big one. Just to add one more thing to what you said, especially if you are a solopreneur, if you don't enjoy what you're doing 5 years down the road, you're
Mhm.
sunk. I mean, there's no one else to carry the weight of it. So you have to really love what you do. But there's also some very tactical downsides when you do not have a niche, when you are trying to chase the general market. It's very difficult to market and sell.
Mm.
What you do is you end up, and everyone has probably heard of a sales funnel. When you have to market to a general audience and you don't know who your best customers really are, you have to cast a very wide net. You spend a lot of money on ads. You write, yeah, marketing emails and websites. You're always trying to wonder, what do I need to say to get through to my people? And it's very frustrating. And the reason that you're having such a hard time marketing and selling is because you're trying to cover such a wide audience. You're trying to make everyone happy, and you're constantly second guessing yourself. And if you were able to know exactly who you were talking to, if you could look out in the crowd and point to them and say, don't talk to everybody, talk to that person,
Mhm.
all of a sudden, all of this gets much easier. You're writing, the emails that you're writing come out much more naturally. The copy on your website, all of those things. The flip side of having that focus is that it's easier to run your business.
I hear you, and I actually agree with you. And I will say sometimes I get pushback, Todd, from especially from coaches, where they say, but I do more than just that. Won't I be missing out on an audience if I narrow down to this particular niche that we're talking about? So, how do you help people understand that might not be a problem, or is it a problem?
Yeah, this is the number one question I get when I work with my clients. They all come back with this. They feel like they're leaving money on the table.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
in reality, they're not. So there's two things that are happening simultaneously when you choose a niche. One is that you are, in essence, turning your back on a large part of the market. And that's what scares people. They say, oh no, I don't get to do business with them.
Yes.
What they don't realize is that they were never going to do business with them anyway. The reason is that when you put out a general message that does not resonate with your audience, they're not going to buy. People will always choose whoever they think is the specialist. They will always choose the product
Mm.
that is best designed for their custom needs. And so if you're trying to make everyone happy, you don't make anyone happy because you've
Mm.
created products and solutions that are trying to do everything. So that's one part of it. Yes, you are turning your back on the market, but you're not really losing out.
Mhm.
The other thing, though, that you're doing is you're focusing on one particular market. And when you do that, that subset of the market says yes faster.
Mm.
And so that's the basic equation. Would you rather throw a general message into a general market that gets generally ignored and play a numbers game where you sort of try and push people down your funnel and find out who your market's going to be? Or do you say, these are my buyers and I know them, and I'm going to build a product for
Mm.
just them, marketing for just them, and then you send it to just them? Now you have a shorter sales cycle. When they call you, they're serious buyers because they know exactly what you're offering.
Mm.
A lot of times business coaches will just try and get somebody on the phone, and then they'll just try and get them to like them so that they can hire them. But if
Mhm.
you have a very defined product or service that exists just for this specific market, those people won't call you to find out what you've got. Those people will call you to buy. They will say, how do I get that? Because you've already shown them what you have to offer, and you've shown them that you built it just for them. So you
Mm.
actually make more money and spend less time selling when you focus on a niche.
That's amazing. I love the way that you put that. Is a niche too small? Can it be too small?
In theory, yes, but in
Mhm.
practice, no. So a good analogy is, think of niching your business like tightening a bolt.
Mhm.
Everyone who's ever tightened a bolt knows when it's tight enough. There's no
Mm.
need to go any further. So if you niche your business enough, here's the litmus test. Can your customer easily distinguish between you and your closest competitor?
Ooh.
If they can't, you need to niche further. If they can, you don't need to niche anymore. The reason that you are finding a niche for your business is you are separating yourself from the competition in a way that your customer can easily understand.
Brilliant. You got to let that set in, guys. That is so important to hear. And the reason I say that, Todd, is I hear that the question I get most often is, how do I stand out? Like, how do I show that I am unique or different from my competition? And one of the things that I say when I get that question is that you don't find it in products and features. You don't find it right in the nuts and bolts of what you do, that you actually find it a level above that in who you are and what you bring to the market and your perspective or your thought leadership on how to solve a problem. So that's the way that I approach it. How would you answer that question?
Yeah, I actually like your explanation. I'll add a little bit to it. A niche appears in your unique approach, in the unique approach that you take for your market. So it runs parallel to what you're saying. It's sort of the idea that exists above your products and services. However, once you find that unique approach that lets you connect with this subset of the market, that needs to be reflected in your products and services. So I'll give you an example of this for business coaches. So business coaches, when they think about a niche, they think about niching their marketing, but they forget to niche their products and services. So they say, for example, I work with minority-owned businesses. Great. That's wonderful. And when you go to their website, they talk a lot about how they work with minority-owned businesses. It's in their emails. And you think, wow, these are my people. If
Yes.
you're a minority-owned business. Then you actually purchase the coaching and you realize the coaching looks exactly like everyone else's coaching. And it's a letdown. They forgot to niche the product and the service. They just niched the marketing. What you need to do is come up with a unique approach that resonates with a subset of the market. That's your niche identity. Then you carry that through to your products and services. If you are going to serve minority-owned businesses, your product needs to have something unique about it that is built just for minority-owned businesses. Then you have a niche business. Then someone comes out of the other end of that and their friend says, hey, why did you choose Susan as your coach? And they say, well, Susan said she was going to do this. And then when I bought her product, we actually did this. And no one else did that. And so that's where your niche is really an identity, but it also dictates everything that you do because your customer needs to see that you've taken steps to build something uniquely for them.
So good. That is so good. Is there ever a time when it's too late to
No.
niche?
Yep. That's another question I get quite often. People, when they hear these explanations, they go, man, I wish I'd have talked to you 5 years ago. The answer is you should absolutely find your niche at any point. Your niche is your sweet spot. Knowing is better than not. There's no reason that you would ever want to close your eyes and say, no, I don't want to know what my sweet spot is. Chances are, if you are successful in business already, you're probably relatively close to your niche. So it's better to find out what it is and then find out, how do I make adjustments to start porting my business over to my niche so that I can serve my niche customers more. And this is not a switch that you flip. This can be a process. I've worked with some clients that say, we have investments out there to a general market. And I say, leave them. That's great. The next time you build a product, the next time you write an email marketing campaign, the next time you update your website, I want you to take as big a step as you can towards your niche market. And we're going to make sure that your sales funnel gets filled with the right people who are going to buy more quickly,
Mhm.
and start to let that general market go, because that's actually a cost to you. It takes a long time for you to sell them. So even if you've been in business for years, find your niche. You know what? I think one of the jobs of any CEO is to look on the horizon and pick a spot out on the horizon and say, we're going that way. Your niche can be that. It can be that spot on the horizon. You can say, we're going that way.
Mm.
And so starting this quarter and next quarter and a year from now, we're taking steps there to lower our costs, serve our people, and do what we do best.
I love that. That makes it less daunting of a thought, right?
Yes.
Because most of us have spent a lot of time developing our messaging, developing our products, developing the quote unquote niche that we serve. To start from ground one and just throw everything away and redo your business model that's daunting. But I like the way you're approaching this, as in just making 1% changes or shifts that take you closer and closer to that horizon that becomes your future. I love that. It's beautiful. Todd, I know you have a framework that you work with people through to help them discover their niche. And unfortunately, we wouldn't have all the time in the world today to go through the whole framework. But can you give me just some highlights, a glimpse into how you help people and what they should be considering as they're exploring what niche they want to focus on?
Yes. There has never been a good framework that helps people find their niche. Most people here follow your passions. And like you said, that gets them in trouble. That is not enough to find your niche. And so I decided to build a framework that anyone can go through and discover their ideal niche, their ideal opportunity. There are 5 components of this. The first component is we look at your unique abilities. You should never get into business unless you can be a specialist. And so we find areas in which we can develop you as a specialist. So your unique abilities, number 1. Number 2 is we talk about the customer journey. The customer journey is a little different of a concept. The customer journey is what the customer is trying to accomplish in the big scheme of things. Somewhere along the line, there is a transaction, but take your eyes off the transaction and understand the journey that they're on. And when you do that, you find there's lots of opportunities to provide value to the customer that no one else is actually addressing. The third thing we do is we take a look at the competition. You obviously have to do something that no one else is doing. Competition scares people. They feel like there's going to be a fight. There's not. You can actually slot yourself in the competitive landscape and differentiate yourself from competitors. And I'll give you one little helpful sentence. You should be able to complete this sentence for your top 5 competitors. Whereas they blank, I blank. Whereas they do this, I do that. You are not fighting with your competitors. You are differentiating yourself. And in that light, you can be in a crowded industry, but still stand out. You just have to understand how. The fourth is we choose a market. Most people get this backwards. Most people try and find their niche by choosing a market they want to work with, but that's not how you do it. You have to find a market that wants to work with you. And so you first have to find out what you have to offer. Then you say, who out there is best served by this thing I have to offer? So that's step 4 is we choose a niche market. And then number 5, we take a look at your products and actually help people build their first product. Your product needs to reflect your niche identity and be customized to your niche market. It does not need to be a general product. Otherwise, your niche market is ultimately let down. And so those are the 5 components. And when we come out the other end, people most every time say, I was really kind of close to this. I couldn't quite get my hand on it, but now I see this is my best opportunity. And then every hour or dollar they invest, they throw it in that direction, and it makes a difference in their business.
So interesting. I love to ask this question because as clear as we think we are in helping people understand what we do, as businesses. It's interesting at the end of an engagement when somebody says, I was so surprised. I didn't realize that I was going to get this or know this or be able to do this. So what do your clients say to you? What is their big surprise at the end of an engagement with you?
Most often, they realize they had more to give than they thought they did. When you ask somebody, in what area are you a specialist? Most people shake their head and they say, I'm not really a specialist. And I think, okay, we'll get to that. But everyone has a set of experiences, a set of perspectives. The longer you've been around, the longer you've been in business, you have something to bring to the table for a subset of the market that needs to hear from you. And that is one of the biggest things people realize is they have something pretty magical to offer, but they never went through the process of figuring out what that is and associating a business opportunity to it.
Interesting.
So that's probably the biggest.
Very cool. Can we turn that around in the other direction? Because we've been talking about seasoned business owners and how important this is to do at that point in their journey. What about like a new coach, someone who's just newly minted? They got their certification, they're excited to get out there, but they don't really know what they don't know yet, or they may not see themselves as experts in what they do. Can you help someone like that be able to identify a niche that they should be working in?
Yes, the framework works very well for these situations. A lot of times I find that when new coaches get into the business, they purchase a certification and they let that certification become their identity. They say, I'm the business made simple person, or I'm the story brand person. I'm the profit first. I'm the MailChimp person, whatever it is. And the reason that ultimately is going to come bite them is because there are hundreds or maybe thousands of other people out there marketing the same thing. And when you're in coaching and you're running your business on Zoom calls, you're competing with the universe. And so you need to, from the very beginning, you need to find a way to be unique, address a specific market, create a unique approach. Your certification is a tool in your tool belt, is not your identity. So if you have a MailChimp certification and you say, I want to get into helping people use MailChimp to market their business, that's wonderful. You will do that in the course of working with them, but you need to develop a unique approach that works with a specific subset of the market. Young mothers who are trying to reach this kind of segment, or people that have limited time and so they need templates that allow them to market using MailChimp more easily. You need to bring something else to the table in addition to the certification that addresses a specific need for a subset of the market. If you can find that early on, you will save years of time and frustration trying to battle it out in the general market.
This is so good. And I'm going to pause for 1 second here because you made a reference to business made simple coaches. And some of my audience very familiar with that and some aren't. So I want to take a second to go there because I have a follow-up question for you on that. So Donald Miller from StoryBrand has an organization that he's built up called Business Made Simple. It's a platform, a learning platform, and he certifies coaches in how to deliver the content or coach to the content that he provides in this Business Made Simple platform. It's an amazing tool. I'll drop a link to it in the show notes. But here's my follow-up question, and here's the scenario is, let's say I'm a brand new Business Made Simple coach. So I was in corporate. I was really good at what I did in corporate. And I decided it was time for me to go out on my own. And I wanted to become a coach. So I engage with someone like Donald Miller's organization, and I get certified as a Business Made Simple coach. Now, there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot. And so that's where the uniqueness comes into play in this particular picture. But when you first come out of corporate, you aren't sure what it is that makes you unique within this body of work. So now it's almost like reverse engineering your niche. You've got this breadth of material that you can specialize in. And yet you're not sure which market or which person is going to be your or should be your focus. So I see a lot of Business Made Simple coaches vacillating. Like, I'm not sure which direction I should go. I was really good at what I did in corporate, but I've got all of this material to work from, and I'm not certain which direction to go. So if you were in front of a coach who's been through a certification program like that, what would your counsel be to them in a place to start in finding their niche?
Yeah, this is a great question. So I don't know if you knew this or not. I am a Business Made Simple coach. And a decent number of my clients are also Business Made Simple coaches, story brand guides. So I run into this situation all the time. One thing that they are doing incorrectly, and I'm not trying to throw stones, but I just, I want to try and be very clear about this. One of the things that they tend to do is they look at the coaching material that they get from their certification and they say, where do I fit in this? They see themselves as the small part, the smaller ingredient. They see the coaching certification as the big ingredient of what they're going to provide as a product and service to their clients. They need to turn that around. Business Made Simple, I mean, I purchased the license. I like it. It is a fantastic tool. It is a tool that fits in your toolbox along with all your other tools. So if you are coming from corporate, you have a tremendous amount to leverage. Adding the tool of the Business Made Simple certification is a great idea to enhance what you have, but it does not become your main identity. So from the very beginning, I put the certification to the side and say, we understand that. We'll plug that in. That works for any small business. That's a great tool. Let's talk about you. What do you bring? What are your unique abilities? Your perspective on a customer journey? The competition that you're going to run into? How do we find a home for you and your business? Because you are bigger than your certification. And once they come at it from that perspective, they realize they weren't tapping into the greatest source of wealth that they have, which is all of the experience that led them to want to become an entrepreneur.
Fascinating. Fascinating. So it's really changing your perspective of who you are as a business person, what you bring to the table, and what tools do you have to work with. And when you put that all together,
that's right.
It's easier to find the niche. That's excellent. Todd, this has been helpful for me. I know it's helpful for the people listening to this podcast today. I really appreciate you coming here. For anyone who's interested in getting more information about Todd, you can go directly to his website, which is growanichebusiness.com. And I believe, Todd, you've got some free resources there that sound pretty interesting. Why don't you tell my listeners what you've got out there for them?
Yeah, I've got a free download at that website. When they go there, they'll see a button right at the top that says free resources. It'll take you to this. And it's a guide that called 3 Niche Marketing Tricks for Any Website. So if you have a website, whether you have a niche or not, there are some very specific things you can do on your website that will help you resonate with a subset of the market. If you apply these techniques, again, regardless of what kind of business you're in, if you apply these techniques, some of the people that see your website are going to be quicker to give you a call, set up a meeting, because you're finding a way to dial in and talk directly to them.
Outstanding. You guys, that's intriguing. I'm going to go get it myself. I'll have it in the show notes for you so that in case you're driving or not able to write that down, it'll be available. Todd, thank you again for your time today. It was a pleasure spending time with you.
This was a lot of fun, Susan. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you. All right, ladies, you go out there and get it done today. Let's have some fun in our businesses, and I'll talk to you again very soon. Take care.